Okay, here we are. It happened. I thought I wasn't going to stream tonight, but it happened. More than anything else, because simply hitting the button is easier to do than anything aside from that. So yes, once again, we are all of us congregated on another beautiful night, talking or chilling more than anything else. In reality, let's see, let's see what happens. We are literally testing the boundaries of our existence actually. So yes, this is a lot. This is the craziest. Hello Saxter, welcome. Thank you for being here. Hello. What? Today I really have no plan. I have been thinking, and I feel bad to know that sometimes I make too much without really expecting others, or without understanding that others might not have the capacities of following what I am talking about. More than anything else, I think it happens because somehow it is a predominant idea that I might go too fast on some things. Yes, it is true. I accept it. And I am, even if in one hand I am sad about it, in the other, I also know that it is real, so I cannot change it. I can't in any way stop that from being true. But I guess, so far, it feels amazing. It's all I can really say. It feels amazing. So much things, so much happiness, so much emotions. The only thing is that it gets somehow not really tiring, but unlike the whole weight of continuing, so to speak, outweighs other simpler things, let's say. And it isn't because by itself it is bad, it is more like because it simply happens, it simply tends to happen like that. But I guess, even if I myself cannot avoid it, I guess the normal thing should be to not hold the idea that I should really try to focus myself on that sense, but more like finding what I really want to talk about. At the end of the day, I do not really have a problem with anything real that I wish to do by itself. It is more like a desire that I ignore, um, an intention that I do not even give in, that exists always there, so to speak, in the subconscious of myself. Because at the end of the day, there are a lot of parts to what the potato is, and one of those is really unconscious, so to speak. I mean, even if I do not accept it, let's say, I always have to watch not the shadows, but rather the whole self that lies be beyond the ideas themselves. The whole part of me who really likes to not do things that are bad, but rather do things that I might not enjoy. Let's say like that. Because at the end of the day, it is also things that end up being rewarding sometimes. Or not sometimes, more like 80% of the time, or even more. So yes, I do not know how to say it. Anyways, it feels great. So I guess we are continuing more than anything else. So far, I I had a great blockage right now before going live more than anything else. I okay, let me say it like that. I was watching some content as always, and I finally found a guide on what um, I mean on one of the concepts that I was messing around with since a long time. Let's say it like that. And I found myself really, so to speak, destroyed because it was not only a concept that I was interested in, but also it was a concept that I really desired to understand. And when I found a solution for that, at the same time as something that really shows me a way, so to speak, I felt not only amazed, but I felt really entertained by what was being said in that moment. And I think it is kind of unavoidable to say that it was too much, so to speak. In one sense, at the end of the day, it is literally a video. I can go back to it whenever I want, but it's one of the few strong hits that I have taken so far in the last, I think, weeks or so. I haven't had a blow as big as that one, I will say. So yes, more than anything else, trying to relax a little bit. I do not guess that I am not relaxed, but in the same way as I say that, I also do not find a necessity to changing my mind in anything non-related to that. So yes, we are working on things. We still are working on things. On the potato end, on the other end, I really feel happy seeing who. Okay, there are, as always, two sides with that whole thing. The impostor side of things is, I think, kind of unavoidable to have more than anything else, because you really will feel like that if you are working on being, so to speak, somebody who is capable of showing what you have worth of watching, so to speak, in this sense, to others. So in that sense, it feels incredibly tense, but at the same time, I also like it. So I guess, hello, Rosman, welcome. Tonight we are literally rambling about random things more than anything else. So yes, we are shambling. But well, as I was trying to say, I wasn't a part of. I guess it it feels great, but also, even if it feels great, it still has a sense of weirdness to it. In a manner that I wouldn't be completely able to explain why, but the lack of harsh things being said about what I am trying to do shows, or well, not doesn't really show anything at all. Rather, if I were to really try to analyze it properly, it might even show that it is not so worrying as I think it is. But in reality, people really, if they are not even interested on this, they directly ignore it. So it feels amazing to know that. Because I haven't found, on that same concept, I haven't found people who comes here, so to speak, and gives completely meaningless critique that at the end of the day, if it were to be applied to this case, I will understand it. But because it is completely meaningless, therefore it feels almost as if I were wasting my time with trying to give a response to those. But the other side is also not true, so to speak. I think the problem is kind of in the media itself in this case, not trying to find a culprit aside from myself, because at the end of the day, the one who should really create that ambient that I want to have is me, not anybody else. But it is kind of murkier water, let's say like that, trying to achieve anything on the sense that I am thinking on being here rather than being in any other sphere. But at the same time, even if that is true, the other side of this whole side, so to speak, being one of the most wholesome, is also true. So it is weird. I do not really know how to say it properly or how to put it into words that anybody who doesn't even go into the area itself might understand. I will let me think a little bit. A good example would be, okay, it is, you could have a completely hot room, a completely chill room, or a medium temperature room. And in this case, we are in the medium, because it isn't that we are dying because it is too hot, but we are still in the medium temperature room because there are a lot of things that still need to be worked on. And in a sense, it also comes from the realization of me kind of plateauing, so to speak, on the whole things that I could do. Because I I haven't really opened myself to the possibility of helping in a more personal way those who really might feel like that. And even if I were to do it myself, I think as almost every male is conscious, it is very hard for males to open up. So it takes so much time to make another, not human, another male open up in front of you. So it gets weird in that sense. Because, as I said, I cannot get that thing going on so fast. More kind of one-on-one experience, and also because I kind of understand it. Even if we didn't have so many difficulties, I would still kind of have some things to hold myself back from doing that more than anything else, because I think I really don't think it is that important to overthink about the whole, how is it, the whole, so to speak, dangerous of being close with those who really enjoy what you do. At the end of the day, in, in the most profound sense, they are literally the ones who hold you up. Because if it weren't for those who really show you their interest, nobody would ever get to be nothing, even less in this kind of field where you literally base your survival, so to speak, not survival in the sense of this is a constant war, but your survival in the sense of assuring yourself that you are going to keep having the things that motivate you, or at the very least give you a way to really doing what you want. It is hard to have those existing, if anything else, or if in this case, if you are not appreciating those who put so much from their side on you. So it it really feels sad in one sense that so many people desire us to not even pay attention to those, as I said before, who do so much for, in this case, the potato streamer, we could even say. But I mean, in one hand, I also understand it. At the end of the day, even if you kind of can summarize all of those experiences with very, 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 very dangerous individuals who are close to their favorite content creators, even if you have the possibility of saying that you can make a list out of them, I don't think that is something that happens in more than the 1% of the whole content creation sphere population, so to speak. But at the same time, we are kind of talking about things that might as well not even apply in a sense of how much are you aware about it? Because if you do not even know that people will try to approach you in that manner, or in any manner at all, you might not even realize that they are doing so. But when in reality you also have the notions and you take your time to learn, in this case, that people, because you're doing something that really feels interesting to you, are going to spend time out of their day, not because they are really interested in what they're doing, but rather because they want to, so to speak, be the one who takes the photo with you, let's say. Kind of the more older celebrities than the actual thing we're going for here. But even if that is true, in one hand, on the other, it shows really that we tend to. I think the fear itself of having that happening to anybody is bigger than the actual possibilities of that happening. And I guess also, well, I wouldn't say like because you think so much about it, you end up manifesting that. It is more like a case of you end up being so paranoid about it happening that you start seeing shadows on everything. when in reality, it is also, at least from my perspective, it is also incredible to see how many pure people there is out there. So you really, if you do not understand, in this case, the role of analyzing constantly if what you're thinking in that sense is real or not, you will probably find not complete destruction, but rather your inner peace destruction. And at the end of the day, if you do not have peace, what you really have that is holding you together, so to speak. So yes, I do not know. On one hand, on the other, I am happy of being here once again. At the end of the day, the act itself of streaming it isn't that hard. Even more because I really have not that much of a problem about talking about the things that I have in my mind. I think one of the few things that I really take pride on is the fact of being able to put things into words, even if they are not the best. At the very least, I can do it. And also, as I said, I have talked about it a lot of times, but it really is a kind of therapeutical experience for me to do it. Also because I open up about things that I don't normally think about. For example, the whole side of analyzing if I am not really, or well, not more on my case, but rather if we are not really overthinking things in the end of, or in the sense of somebody might be approaching you in a bad way. So yes, I guess in that sense it is good to have it going on. But on the other hand, I mean, there is there are still a lot of topics that I personally struggle with, and that is the thing that hurts the most because I I don't think I have really analyzed that. I think the reason that it hurts it is because my, so to speak, my inner dialogue tends to go to the idea of if I were to be complete in that sense, I wouldn't have so many problems. But in one hand, even if that is true, it is also fucking true that nothing is really as easy as having a thought about it and letting go of the fear. I cannot really stop it. Eh, what are you talking about? There are, I think what you're talking about has been already done, Bingo, and also welcome. I hope you enjoy your gaming session. Uh, yes, it was done, you know. It was already done. I am pretty sure. At least I know one of the machines that is nowadays used in modern medicine was tested by basically removing the, what is it, the first layer of skin of a grape, something like that, to show the whole scientific and medicinal community how good it works. So yes, there are it was already done. They did surgery to a grape. Wow. But well, as I was saying, sorry, as I was saying, I guess it feels it feels weird because it isn't as easy as simply thinking about not having fears anymore, and because I thought about it, it becoming a reality. In one hand, in the other, there is also, I think, at the very least, on my person, a strong sense of attachment toward the not complete abandonment of fears, because I think I have I have really I do not know where it comes from even. It is kind of one of those fears is the fear of becoming, so to speak, someone who I do not want to be. In the sense of I do not completely know how to put it into words because it is not simply being egotistical, so to speak. It is more like spread around different concepts, becoming someone who, for example, might decide to be too stringent with his words, or someone who decides to not even really try to change how things are for others instead of I don't know. I think in that sense it is more like um, a primordial or well not primordial. Freudian sleep, so we're going to go with that description. A primordial fear that lingers in the desire of still having so many problems that could be easily resolved that I decide to not take action because I, in a sense, also know that those problems could easily be solved. So yes, it is more like an ouroboros of problems. I do not solve them. I get anxious about those problems. I see that I can solve them. I let a day pass, and the cycle repeats from zero. So yes, I guess it is more like that than really taking action. At the end of the day, I wouldn't even doubt about the possibility of really feeding the idea of having nothing to do at all. Because I am pretty sure if you were to out of nowhere have nothing to do, or well, at least I myself think about it that way. Not really being able to do anything is more terrifying than almost anything else. In the sense of, I mean, not being able to do anything is almost the same as being dead, so it really feels bad to know that you will get rid of your problems. But, well, in reality, I would even say like this it comes from a not so active analysis over the things that could be solved. Because in reality, almost no average human is going to have their problems solved, mm, so to speak. So I think it comes more from the side of seeing and analyzing if you really are going to stop having problems. What will you do if someone spilled grape juice on your bed and it dyed you purple? If it dyed me purple, I will take a bath, a potato bath. And if it dyed the bed purple, I guess I will get fucking angry because a bed isn't so easy to replace, you know. So I wouldn't even have the possibility of replacing the bed. So I guess angriness is my response. But well, um, basically that. Yes, I think that is my response. If you expected something better, I am sorry for not providing. Well, okay. Have we not lag? Are we still streaming? Yes, right. Yeah, we're fine. So far, we're streaming without any problems. Or what? We lost 34 frames. No. Uh, well, as I was saying, then let me retake the ideas themselves. I was, I think, okay. I go back to what I was saying. I think it comes, in a sense, from not realizing that the average person will really never be emptied from things to take care of. It is more like if you notice or if you get rid of the necessity of taking care of something out of boredom basically, you will start working on newer things that you might before not even have considered as problems. So to speak, oh, well, I think it kind of happens for one of the best examples is the routine that some people has. When you live in a routine, you tend to really get angry, so to speak, about it, in the sense of trying to make it feel different, because you already have everything solved in that routine itself that it got so boring for you, you will prefer doing anything else. But that is, in this case, continuously repeated same thing over and over again. So I guess in a sense, it is kind of unavoidable if you don't pay attention to the idea of really analyzing if you are going to really be one of those who somehow, against all odds, so to speak, you end up being freed from the necessity or more than the necessity, the weight of having things to solve. When you solve everything that lies in your life, at the end, or well, at the end of the day, I think even if you were to take that approach, you will find that it still is kind of impossible for that specific reality to become true. More than anything else, you really need years and years to solve problems that are affecting you right now in the most broad way, I think, because almost nobody has no real reason to take care of the problems that they are having. On one hand, because in the other, you also need to pay attention and you also need to be conscious about what you're doing in the case of really trying to get anywhere. So, if you were able to solve all the problems that you have now, by the time you do that, you will have already find yourself surrounded by even more complex problems. If that is a given possibility, because if all your problems could be so easily resolved that you could also find yourself not having any more problems at all, it comes more from the side of realizing that you yourself are lacking a lot of things. Because in reality, no human should have the possibility of really solving all their problems. After all, I think, okay, I think about it this way. If you have the possibility of solving every single thing that worries you, you will also start, after solving those things that worry the self, you will start seeing out to those things that do not only affect you, so to speak, or do not only impair you. So, in those moments, it comes, so to speak, the sense or the desire to. I do not like to say it in the manner, in the sense of working for a higher purpose. It is more like you notice that you have already fulfilled every single problem, or you have already found a solution for every single problem that affects you personally. Therefore, you can start also helping the community that you have and the surroundings of you. Because at the end of the day, when you have solved everything that affects you, you notice how great it feels to be like that. And if you really are doing that, you also start spreading that knowledge or that desire to help at the very least with others. Not because it really comes from anything in particular, it is more like it out of nowhere happens, I will say. Mm, or, well, yeah, at the end of the day, you can really say that it comes out of something very clear. Nothing in particular is, as we can say, so overly showing that we should really out of nowhere care for others around us. So it comes in that sense from the knowledge or from the boredom of what your actual situation is that you start solving the problems that others have. Because, or well, not from the boredom, because it is more like you already solved your, as I said before, you already solved your problems, you found how great it feels, therefore you want to give a solution to those who are going through similar problems. And by doing that, you also gain. Okay, in that moment, I would even say, not only you are solving others' problems, but you are also finding in yourself the reward that you in your person cannot find. Because you cannot really go to the outsider perspective and tell you how great it was your effort and how amazing it felt. I think, or well, I think no, I am pretty sure if everybody was able to do it consistently, we wouldn't have so much of a imposter syndrome more than anything else. Because if you really were able to go extract from your actions the personal side of them and really notice how incredibly you perform at any given task, you wouldn't really feel that thing that it comes when you basically end up not taking into account the whole power that was put in order for things to happen the way that you wanted them to be real, so to speak. But I guess even if that were to be true, at the same time, it is kind of a tool, so to speak. Because if you didn't have an ego that constantly told you that you're also not perfect, you should really end up stuck, so to speak, because perfection basically is the highest state of something. So if you really were to believe that what you have done is perfect to to such an extent that it needs to not be worked on anymore, you might as well be in this case vlog. So it is not better, it is more helpful if you take advantage of it. Because at the end of the day, also having an imposter syndrome means that you really need to take care of your mental health. Because if you let it feed out of you, you will also find how destructive it is sometimes. Because it is kind of an inner dialogue that tends to appear more than anything else, tends to feed on the fears that one person might commonly have throughout the day about the things that they are doing that they sometimes might not even feel so secure about doing. But I mean, it doesn't really complicate anything that much. At the end of the day, if you have the possibility of stopping, um, well, as I said before, it isn't completely possible for every single human being to do it by nature, but you can train it. That is the funny thing in this case, because you can really, so to speak, train how you see things, and more than anything else, okay, tune yourself into the capacities of being your biggest fan, so to speak. But at the same time, I also understand that nowadays, or well, it feels weird because if you say, in this case, if you say society, even if it were to be true, think that we are going to discover as I keep talking, even if it were to be true, think that we do not know so far, we might not even notice in reality how sometimes really damaging it is for you to not be the one who pays attention to you, or not attention, care, because in a sense you're paying negative attention to you if you have an imposter syndrome, or if you develop your ego to the extent that you created in yourself the imposter syndrome, I guess. So I mean, societally speaking, as I was going to say, it feels weird to have it because in a sense, if you take pride on what you're doing, it means that you're also doing it badly or something like that. It is kind of a given that you shouldn't take pride on what you're doing. When okay, I will say it like this. I think the idea itself should be more like you should learn how to see things in a manner that lets you yourself find strength enough to keep going, but that do not feed to you so much the happiness that it also gives you a sense of, um, so to speak, okay, okay, no, more like correctness. Because at the end of the day, as we have really been talking a lot lately, almost nothing will really reach a state of perfection. Almost everything can be honed in that sense. So if you were to work on that, you will notice how incredibly great it feels to keep working on it. But if at the same time you also do not have the tendency to notice how much or less you are really having those desires and how much more or less you are also paying attention to the inner dialogue that is part of you, you might never really grow in any way. But I mean, in this case, from an outsider point of view, It really hurts. I mean, one of the things that I really struggle is with the hard thing of realizing when people does not desire to change. Why? If you are shown examples of how great somebody became because they decided to change, why would you decide to stay in the same situation? I think I don't really find it logical when I came out of that cycle. If I go back to how I was before this whole adventure and all of that, I could kind of entertain the idea myself because at the end of the day, you can not really appreciate who you are, and in a sense, you do not even know the capacities that you have. But that is on one hand true. You do not know the capacities that you have. And on the other hand, it is true that you do not know how incredible things can become by the act of you yourself being the one who works on the things that you desire to work on. Because it feels weird to be so positive, but at the end of the day, if you really were to put your time into the things that you really cannot exclamate even more how important it is to find the things that you really enjoy. If you were to put your time towards that, the incredible amount of, in this case, success or advancement towards those goals, if they are what you found gives you pleasure in that sense, is a goal rather than a skill or something like that. If you really were to pay attention to those things, you will find how incredible not only it feels, but also it becomes more than anything else. Because it really lies on the idea of you yourself showing by your actions how everything is going to happen. I guess it also comes from the part of you end up in a state where you find yourself being so less worthy than anybody else in the world that it is impossible for you to not feel like whatever you try to do was impossible to achieve because you yourself somehow became less valuable than anybody else. And in a sense, that is the part that hurts the most because not every single time you have the possibility of giving a hand to those people. Eh, oh my god, Sonic the Hedgehog came out in 1991 and they still haven't come up with a better item for him to collect than rings. Why? Because rings are perfection. Rings are already good enough. Why would you want anything else but rings? Rings are the maximum state of Sonic games. Anything else aside from rings is a mere. That is your response. But but also hedgehogs in real life do not become a ball and start balling all over the place, you know. So Sonic the Hedgehog isn't a real life based video game, you know. No, show me video. You're lying. You're literally lying. Hedgehogs do not do that. What was it? Armadillos do that, but hedgehog does not. Hedgehog. I cannot say. But yes, basically that. Mm. Show me. But well, meanwhile, let me continue with it while you search for your proof. Your so important proof. I think the part that, in not in a sense, really hurts because I think you could get stuck on the idea itself, when in reality you could also find that by trying hard enough, well, what the fuck? It really became a ball, wow! This hedgehog is amazing, what the fuck? This is beautiful. Yeah, he's an orb. He's a circle. This is amazing. What? I didn't knew that hedgehogs had that capacity. I guess I guess I had been lying. I had been lied and lying also to others who told me, no, yeah, they can, and me going and contradicting them for the sake of doing that. But anyways, amazing finding. Well, I guess in this case I do not have anything to really say. I guess um, um, no, yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what to tell you. It is beautiful. It is all I can tell you. It is beautiful. But my PC is fucking hot. What the fuck? I almost burned my finger. What the fuck, my brother? Anyways, sorry for the slur. Uh, laptop, beautiful. Well, as I was continuing, I think it comes from the realization of the not realization of knowing that unless you try, you won't really have the capacities of saying that anybody is not capable of being saved. I think okay, in this case, it comes together with the concept of you might also have the misconception of being able to save anybody by mere words, so to speak. Because in reality, the most important thing is will, and you cannot create most of the time will in others. You can ignite it, you can make it more visible to those who already have it, but you cannot create it. That is why it feels hard to motivate others, so to speak. In one hand, because in other, it really shows you that almost, or not almost, everybody who hasn't so far decided to take the easy route, so to speak, is possibly one of the best targets for help. As long as you haven't committed any extreme action, you are fine. In the sense of being somebody who could get help. But even if that is true, it also comes with the, in this case, the realization of how much you're really willing to sacrifice your time in helping others, because it becomes after a certain extent when more than anything else with certain individuals who are so headstrong about their ideologies and they really do not feel like changing for the better and all of that. With those particular cases, it becomes more a case of how much are you willing to go in a penance for them. Because it is one thing to try and sell somebody out of love. It is another thing to devote your whole life to a single individual who does not even give you anything back. I mean, I wouldn't consider that love in that case. Love in this sense exists when you really know that you can do it for the other person, so to speak, or that you can be an igniter of the other person's desires. But if you do it because you want to be the one who says, "Oh yeah, I was it. I was the one who made it possible. I feel so amazing. I am literally reaching my peak. I am amazing. I am the best tool there will ever be. I am going to save every single body." It doesn't really show that you are doing it for the sake of anybody at all. It comes more from the side of wanting to have that title, so to speak, but I guess everybody also knows what kind of approach they are having. And if they do not completely know what approach they are having, they know that it is important to keep it in check what you are doing in that sense, more than anything else, because you will really lose your way if you're not conscious about how you're doing things, so to speak. But I mean, at the end of the day, almost anybody is also hold more accountable for things that they really do not even know how to do in their daily lives than what they really know. So I guess it is kind of weird to see that the average person sometimes should be so capable of doing things, when in reality they struggle with a lot more than what is really assumed to be the norm. Also, sorry, hello, welcome, and I hope you have a nice look. Tonight we are pondering on different things. So, if you have something that you want to hear ponders about, you might as well leave it here to be pondered for you by the potato. But also, as always, I know that it is a lurk, so enjoy hearing more than anything else if you only feel like it. But as I was saying, I guess it comes also from the realization of being there and knowing that what you're doing is real in the sense of, oh, well, not real, everything is real in that sense. It is pure in the sense of why you're doing it. So that is why it is important more than anything else. But well, at the same time, almost everybody tends to lie or fall down the lie. Yes, in this case, that's what I wanted to say. Almost everybody wants what ends up falling in the lies of the perfect self that we tend to develop, I think. And I mean, if you really, for example, if you as someone who is completely agnostic about anything at all, find no way to extract sometimes from you yourself the constant, not necessity, but rather wonders of the mind that exist into the whole divine realm, you will really have a problem with that. Because in this case, it might also end up developing into the whole ego self, so to speak, that tells you, you know what, you are incredible, you are doing all of this for others, and you are also becoming so incredibly powerful, and you are really becoming, so to speak, a tool that is objectively needed for the world. So I guess it shows, more than anything else, it shows the sad reality of a, a necessity that we are not paying attention to. Because it really, if you were to pay attention, or if you really were to let the signals that your body gives to you be something that you hear, if you let all of those things really exist inside of you, you will be happier. But at the same time, if nobody really told you why it is so important to the extent of spending even hours of your day doing that almost every single day, you also have no reason at all to spend time on something that you know is not worthy, or at the very least you do not know is worth it. So I guess it is weird because it also shows that on one side everybody needs help, on the other everybody needs a better education on those matters. But on another hand, if you say that somebody needs education, it is kind of implied that you are saying they are dumb on those topics. And, or well, I will say like this: they are inept on those topics more than anything else, and the possibility of changing for the better outcome and becoming someone who really pays attention and who knows what you really want could be more beneficial than not having it. It won't hurt you, it won't hurt you. It might be a lot more beneficial than what you think, but the baseline is that it won't hurt anybody who learns that. So I guess it comes more from the side of being a teacher in that sense. Somebody who really finds the desire of telling others why it is so important to have that knowledge inside of you. Because, okay, I think it is finally time for me to say it. One of the things that I wanted to talk about for the longest time was I think already 1 or 2 days ago I think about it, I thought about it. It was one of the few revelations that I had, and it feels bad to say it on one hand, but in other, it is unavoidable to have them. So I might as well, at the very least, say that it appeared to me in a fucking revelation, than to say, you know what, this is completely my own capacities. No, my brother, I don't do everything completely conscious. Um, and on a side note, for example, every single time that I go to sleep, lastly, I wake up and I have to reconstruct myself. It feels because I go through so much fucking things when I sleep. It is weird, but leaving that aside, we're not here to complain. The realization was a lot of times philosophy likes to attack the subject or to interpolate the subject. Psychology tends to interpolate the person who is subject to that specific thing. And there should be kind of a middle ground where you tend or you try to gravitate, so to speak, between both sides. Because if you really want to show somebody a way out, you can only be the judge of who they are or the judge of what they are talking about. You really need to be, so to speak, between both realms more than anything else, because ideologies cannot be so easily separated from the individual, even more if they don't even know how much of an ideology they are living with. So, if you do not have that possibility, you really need to have that, so to speak, as, as something that might as well give you a better tool in that sense. But I didn't even knew where did I take that out from, but I already know somebody said it, and when I thought about it in the sense of there is still something that lacks in both of those descriptions, that's when I noticed what it really meant. Because I could also, as I said earlier today on Twitter, for example, I could go and write completely random paragraphs about, you know what, reality is a brega. If you do not have an explanation about what the fuck it means, you can't really come up with an explanation yourself most of the time, or at the very least, something that really shows you what the author itself was trying to. So it is kind of hard, to come up with something that shows you, in this sense, what you're really talking about being something true. But I guess, in a sense, we're fine. So I don't really know. So far, we have really talked about a lot of things. More than anything else, we were able to maintain the streak. And I really am trying to find a way to not let the fears take the most out of me. Mm, And well, yeah, as I said before, when I started stream, I really had to go through a lot, specifically before streaming. So that's why I let the shadows win more than anything else. But I guess even if that is true, we're still working. So we will see what comes up tomorrow. Probably tomorrow will finally be another Mahabharata day. I I feel on one hand that even if I were to do that, it feels bad to drift completely into that content. So we will see how I end up approaching that desire to do Mahabharata. We might probably, if that is not completely true, we might also go and try to analyze some videos. I think it was already kind of. Let me check. I think it has already been a week or so since the last time I analyzed anything, so we might as well find something interesting to analyze that is worthy of analyzing. Um, November 11, yeah, it has been more than a week, 10 days, LMO. So, well, yes, I guess we will see what I am going to talk about tomorrow. I don't know, if, at the very least, if it isn't something in particular interesting, we will try to make out of it. As here, basically, random rambles. At the end of the day, they are also, as I said before, therapeutical to me. So very beautiful. And well, I guess that's it for today. We cannot really do anything else. Nothing more to add to the whole stream. So, as always, thanks for coming, thanks for lurking, thanks for watching the world, thanks for every single gift. Very, very grateful for everything. As I said before, I really feel bad about not taking the time of being as grateful as I could be, but at the very least, I think about it regularly. So I hope my way to convey it is sufficient enough for those who might need to hear it. But well, yes, it was beautiful. That's it for today. That's it. We will see what happens in the next session.